Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here today to share another thought on this Advent season. I've been sharing from the story of the part of the story in Luke chapter 1, 26 and 27, and I'll read it again. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a town in Galilee called Nazareth, to a virgin engaged to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary. Now, as I've been saying, Mary was engaged to Joseph. I don't know whether she was in love with Joseph in the way that we talk about couples being in love today. I don't know how this got chosen. I don't know whether her parents and his parents worked out a deal. I mean, in the Old Testament and the New Testament cultures, that happened a lot. In fact, still happens today in some places. But I do know that there was something special about this gal. Even though she was young, even though she was inexperienced, there was something special about her that God chose her. And I want to think, at least based on what we hear later on, which is not a whole lot, I like to think that it was her love, her capacity for love, that maybe drew God to her. And from that, I'd like to share a couple of verses here from 1 Corinthians 13. Now, I use these verses probably all the time. I was going to say most of the time, but probably all the time when I marry a couple. And you've heard them, I'm sure. 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. And then we go down to verse 13 of the 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians. And now faith, hope, and love abide. These three, but the greatest of these is love. Well, we certainly associate Christmas with love. God's love for mankind, he sent his son into the world to be born. And I think one of the key characteristics of Jesus' life and ministry and his teachings was to demonstrate the quality of God about loving folks. Now, if we look at this passage in 1 Corinthians, we hear some very pointed stuff. It says it's kind and it doesn't envy. Have you ever envied anything of someone else? Even just a little toy, maybe? It doesn't boast. It's not proud. For someone who loves, the act of loving is all that you need. The act of sharing your caring with someone else that's what's important. It doesn't dishonor others. What does it mean to dishonor somebody? Well, you could look at it in terms of disappointing, like your parents or your closest friends. But it also could be used in terms of not putting somebody else down, not talking negatively about somebody. And I know we all have that grandmother somewhere who never said a harsh word about anybody and who said, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Well, my grandmother probably embodied that, but I don't think I ever heard her say it. But yet everybody's got a grandmother or an aunt or something. We all heard that. And that just might be a little difficult to do, to never do that. But yet it says, if we will love instead of that, will be successful in not putting others down. It says it's not self-seeking, it's not angered, it doesn't keep a record of wrongs. I know some folks who keep a lot of records of wrongs. In fact, I think the high point of their life is remembering how people have hurt them. And maybe that's you too. And I just want to say to you that that's a bad plan to live a wonderful life. Oh, you can choose to do that if you want to. I mean, God's not going to beat you over the head because you do that. But you won't find joy and happiness. You won't find the real meaning of Christmas unless you're just not even looking for it. It says it rejoices in the truth, it always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, and it always perseveres. Love is the one and the only thing that overcomes all evil. Now, you may not see the overcoming of it, but it will happen. And then we get down to verse 13, and it says, now faith, hope, and love abide, but of these three, the greatest of these is love. The greatest thing you can do is to respond in love to somebody. Oh, I know. Some people think you're crazy. But really and truly, the greatest response you can ever make is one of love. And that's what God did for you and for me through the birth of Jesus. He gave us an example, a demonstration, a lifestyle of loving and caring. So this Advent, this today of Advent, I'd like you to think about how do you express your love to those that deserve it? How do you express your love to those that you think don't deserve it? You see, how you demonstrate love to those who don't deserve it really shows us how much you respect love and how much you desire to walk a life in love. You'll have to look at your life and answer that question. I can't do that for you. But I can encourage you, and I can share with you that this story, this Advent story of the coming of Jesus, gives us a way to live a life that's full of love. Will you think about that today? Hope you have a really great day. If you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. So until tomorrow, God bless you. I'll be back and share another thought.